Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Introduction to Business series. You're taking me with. You're either taking me in online or in a face-to-face class. I teach at a community college in Illinois. So look me up if you just happen to stumble on this. Otherwise, enjoy. To get the full impact of this lecture, uh, you should have read the books, utilized publishers' integrated software, our discussions, and working on a feasibility project within the classroom. We'll take everything that you've learning and solidify it into one. So you could take it and not only understand the concepts, the definitions, but see how you'll be able to apply it. So today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and new ventures and business ownership. This can be part of the project that you're doing in a class. You'll be coming up with a feasibility study. You're working in teams, which we call collaborative learning, and you have to take this information and you're going to figure out, hey, how I'm going to start a new business. Now, some of the skill sets and everything else you're going to learn here in new ventures, whether you're a sole proprietor, what we're going to talk about, or a limited partner, or an LLC, or a corporation, you're always looking for new markets. How do I expand my existing market? I got to contain my market, but it only could grow so much. There's only so many people that could utilize my product or service. So I'm always looking to for different markets and expanding. And so we at all levels in business have the entrepreneurship. But we're going to start off with the small business, and we're going to work just a little bit, talk a little bit about the corporations and some of the different business structures that are available, right? So, we'll talk about how small business is important in the economy. We'll explain what entrepreneurship is. What do you have to look for starting a business? You're not going to be an expert out of this, but it gives you some framework, like a foundation, a template. Hey, here's what I have to do. Then you start taking other classes. I teach a variety of classes at community college, so you could always come and take me for other classes. And then when you actually finish with introduce you into a business plan, or what I would call a feasibility at this stage in the game. And the next chapter or the next course you take maybe completely marketing, and now you take what you've learned here. That's a big summarization, and you input that in. So let's look at some stats on small business. Now I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. Remember, I utilize a program called MindJet. It's very acceptable in the business, easy to work, integrates nicely with Microsoft Office. Okay, so small business stats. Here, just some general information. There are about 20, about 30 million small businesses in the U.S. That's a lot of small business. And later on, we'll give a definition on what a small business is. 97% are considered small. Small business account for 50% of the gross domestic product. We discussed that in earlier chapters in the economy. Small businesses generate 60-80% of the new jobs. So if you want the economy to stimulate, uh, we have to stimulate to get small businesses to people to venture in, open up a small business, or the existing small businesses to be work more effectively and efficiently. 80% of U.S. workers' first jobs were in small business, and all of us start off that way. All right. Now, what is a small business? The U.S. Department of Commerce considers a business small if there's fewer than 500 employees, independently owned and operated, and it doesn't dominate in the field. And it could be a little bit larger than 500. It depends on that. Small Business Administration is looking at, I think, 1,500, if I'm mistaken. Okay, small business. Yeah, here. Consider small businesses around 1,500 employee only has a low annual sales. I may have a lot of employees, but I'm not generating, or the product I'm generating is a low end or of a lower on the lower cost structure. Okay. So those are two definitions of small business. We all start off with small business. Okay, now important is a small business, just a little bit over. Most workers employed in small business, most small business employ fewer than 100 people. Just general information. Now, if I'm looking at this, and this chart is, I'm just going to go on there because some of you are looking at it. I'll just open up a little bit here, and it basically just shows you the total of employees. And where the heck am I? It says 90% of all U.S. businesses have no more than 20 employees. That's a big, and it's considered small business. Remember, it's a large individual. Now, some people like to work in a smaller operation. Me personally, I've been in a corporate world in a smaller. I like the smaller business. It's more flexible. It's more caring. It's easier to maintain. As a larger corporation, it's big. It's just out of more love. Both has its pluses and negatives. Okay, so let's put it that way. I've been on both sides. I enjoy both sides. I could work on both sides. Okay, importance to the U.S. economy. Now, remember, you always have the concept maps. You probably only have up to this level. You already read it. Now you're preparing for my exam. Try to add on to it. See what I wrote. Stop at the YouTube. Boom. What did George do? I may not go into it, but I'll always open up so you can see it. Job creation, 40% of all new jobs in high technologies sectors, and even manufacturing that you read in the publisher or we discussed in class is resurrecting, for lack of a better word, and coming back to life. And it's coming back to life, but the people that, and there's a shortage of workers. You go, wait a minute, so many people are unemployed. What do you mean short of work? Because they need the technology skills. They need how to program. They need how to understand stats. They need how to do something. The new assembly lines are all automated. So you have to still maintain them, but you need a higher level. Okay, slide by small business by industry. And they just say, here's where the services, most of us, McDonald's, a gas station, Jeffrey Lube, work in the service industries, doctors, nurses. Retailing is only 11%. In college, most of you are in this industry. Construction, 12%. It goes up and down depending on the housing, depending on people are new construction in which areas. Okay, wholesaling is 5%. Finance, insurance is 4. Manufacturing, it's still a small percentage, but it's used to, it's coming back to life. Transportation, that's the auto industry, and that maybe come around, smaller, faster cars. Cars are lasting longer, so there may not be that kind of a replacement, but it's still 2%, and then other. All right, so that just tells you small business by industry, and innovations. Why it's important. Small businesses are the innovators. If I looked at produces 13 times as many patents per employee as large patenting firms. When you get larger and larger, you're figuring, hey, what's in it for me? I'm just part of the machine, part of the system. So you kind of get, I don't want to say stagnant, but you kind of get used to. I mean, there's innovators within entrepreneurs. We talked a little bit about it in class, but just so there's still innovators. Small business, smaller. You're always thinking. You come up with an idea, and you grow. Eventually, you'll get to larger company, to a larger a structure, or your business will grow. That's what you want to do. Just like when you, or if you're working for a corporation, you want to get that promotion from a small business owner. I start off small. I want to open up more shops, or I want to have a good life. Okay. Now, contribution to big business. Most products made by big businesses are sold to consumers by small ones. Okay. So small businesses help a lot of products and everything else to big business. If you look at the auto industry, for example, all those parts are not done all by Detroit General Motors. They contract out to a lot of small business and maybe specialty in the plastic, maybe specialty for the radios, maybe specialty just for one knob. It's just because they do it better. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship is the same skill sets. Entrepreneur, we'll talk about the first one, a business person who accepts risks and opportunities involved in creating and operating new business ventures. Now, don't get in a box, just thinking that entrepreneurship is just always starting off a new business. In a corporation, I gotta have an entrepreneur spirit to find a new market, to find something different. So that entrepreneurship is always in middle managers, anyone that's in leadership position within a business, whether I'm starting a small business or a department head or whatever, or a team leader, I still have that entrepreneurship, that creativity, that out of the box thinking. Okay. Now, but in general, for this book, this chapter that we're talking about, entrepreneurs is basically the type of individuals can start his own business. Okay, process seeking business opportunities under conditions of risk. Remember, part of entrepreneurship, I'm taking a risk. And you see Apple, they're taking a risk when they come up with a new iPhone or a new watch. Will they take it? And that's on a larger scale, and they're still taking that entrepreneurship. Otherwise, everything will be status quo. Okay, understanding distinctive competencies. Okay, you have to understand the established market. You have to understand where am I going to sell my product. Many firms compete to well-defined criteria. What do they have there? They're already in there. They know the customers. They know the market. They've got the brand. What am I going to come in there to change or bring their customers to even look at me? Okay, so I'm looking for that niche. And the niche is a segment market that's not currently being exploited by everybody else. So even though I might have the same product or something new, hopefully something innovative, we're talking about entrepreneur, where will I come? Where I know I could come in there and try it out and get the foot. Remember, if people start buying my product, I'm the first one. You always want the original. Right? Identifying and discovering new markets, transferring a product or service that's well established and creating entire new industry. And you could see that with something, Teflon. I use Teflon. It was basically for the space industry when they shot the rocket up to wherever, the satellites and everything else to protect it from the heat coming in and out. And then they use Teflon on cooking and everything else, so it doesn't stick food. So they're taking stuff that for a different market, a different segment and say, hey, could I utilize here in the, for lack of better words, the consumer business, segment. Okay. Now, first mover advantage. When I look at first mover, any advantage that comes to a firm because it exploits an opportunity before any other firms. If you're the first, that's what you want to do. Because by the time competition sets in, hopefully you got your foot into the market. People already know your product, and they have to compete. For them to take your customers away, they got to meet or exceed what you've already created. If you got a patent, you're doing pretty good. Okay, large business sometimes find a new niche. Small business are more successful because we can be more responsive and flexible. Okay. Now, starting and operating a new business, we're going to do from an entrepreneur, and we talked about what's the difference between a small business owner and an entrepreneur. But we'll go through this. Remember, you need a business plan. A business plan is just basically where's my goals. I got to know. I'm going to open up a business. Okay, how I'm going to pay for it? Who's my customers? Just because I open up a shop, are they going to come? Did I invite anyone? Did I do any advertising? Then am I in the right location? Do I have the right menu? Do I have the right color? Do I have the right sizes? All those things are done research. So the business plan will identify my pricing, who's my competitors, and what you'll be doing in my course that you take in my class now is a feasibility plan. A feasibility plan is the first step before a business plan. I'm gonna say, hey, you got a good idea, everything is all done. We're gonna fund it. I want to see if your idea could you sustain it for the next 4 or 5 years. That's what I'm looking for. Idea, and sustainability. In the course, with the feasibility, I'll just assume the idea passed the mustard, went through all the business, and now we're trying to find out where we're going to locate. But you still have the idea, and you have to present that to me. Okay, so a business plan is a document in which entrepreneurs, let me just close this off. Okay, entrepreneurs describes her or his business strategy for a new venture. Look, you need a business plan if you're going to get any kind of investors, any kind of loan. Even if when we talk about the small business or small business incorporation that gives you that assists you in loans, you need some kind of business plan. It doesn't have to be the best. It could be a raw business plan. There's a program called Business Plan Pro, and it's only one way or the other. There's probably some out there, but that's the one I've been utilizing. Some of my clients utilize that. And I mean, it's a nice one, real easy. Put it in there. It gives you the right format. It asks you the questions that you could read it, but it's like the software. Did you do this? Yes, no. Did you do this? Where's your business going to be open to? Who's your customer? It forces you to think through it, and then it just puts it in. You still write it in, but it kind of puts it in the same kind of uh, like it's a template that puts in the same kind of document that's acceptable by investors. So they say, hey, this person knows something about business. Look at this document. It's what's current and normal or standard within the industry. Okay? Demonstrates how it will be implemented. Not only the idea, how I'm going to put it into effect. Remember what you're learning in this class. You got this big idea. I'm going to open a hot dog stand. Let's get a detail. What's on the menu? Where are you going to go at? What you going to pricing? Where are you going to, what town? Who's your customer? Who's your competitors? That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Identify competition. Important because the advantages of the business have over the competition. So you're going to do this, the SWOT, strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal, opportunities and threats are outside. So when you're looking at strengths and weaknesses of your competitor, here's the strengths or the signature, whatever that's bringing in a product or service that's bringing customers to that establishment. Now, my strength should be equal to them, but what's their weaknesses? Once I find out their weaknesses, maybe my strength will overcome their weaknesses, so customers will at least come to my product willing to pay a little bit more and or to take the risk on mine because it takes care of us weaknesses that they feel is important that my competition is ignoring. Simple as that. Sounds a lot, but it's more than that. Okay, so identify. Okay, now the owner's strengths and weaknesses. You have to look at your own strengths and resources and qualification. I got the idea, but could I put it together? Facebook. He brought someone in, so a lady, and I can't think of her name right now, to get it into initial public offering because that's her expertise. He came up with the idea, but she helped him grow the business or him. It doesn't make a difference. Okay. Plan focus owner's potential. If I don't have the strength or anything else in an area that's essential for my operation, maybe I bring in a partner. We'll talk about that that has those skill sets. So now you're very selective on your partner, not just because he's my friend. If he or she can't contribute to the operation, then they're not an effective partner. I'm not trying. It's not right off the bat. Think about it. What are you bringing in? Has nothing to bring in. Can't do nothing else. Not going to help to bring any value. Is not going to do that. Money's value. But if nothing else, what else do I need from that individual as a partner? Or do I have those abilities? Okay, it's always better if you have a partner because if something goes wrong, it's easier to get a loan and everything else because they figure, hey, good idea, but if what if you get sick or something else? Your partner, you have two individuals, so it balances the risk and balances the work and the stress. Okay, so the business plan. Okay, now crafting business plan or feasibility study. This is where we're going. Setting goals and objectives. Sales forecast. How many customers you think are going to come? We're going to talk about pricing. Financial planning. Where's the money coming? SWOT of existing businesses. I talked about a little bit over here. How will you be able to compete against them in understanding the current market? Important. Okay. Now learn about small business. How do you learn? Learn from others. Real quickly, you can learn from others. I'll open them up. I might not go through all of them. Investigate local colleges. That's where you're at now. Talk to and work for successful entrepreneurs, either an internship or work for that industry and figure and help them out. Here, I don't mind helping you with the book. I don't mind helping you unloading it. Find out see how he or she, especially that's a business you want to go into. Let's say a florist, for example. See how they design, see how they sell, see the suppliers, see how they advertise, and find out, in that area and see. So you could learn a lot before you open up their business. Or you could, if he or she is ready to expand, they may make you a partner because they like you and you've got the same skill set. You may not have the capital investment, but you've got the skills and understanding and you're growing with the business. Okay? Get some experience, and I just talked about that, in the field. Take over a successful firm, someone's going, internship, and you see a lot of doctors before they leave, they bring in another partner, and that partner comes in there and learns from that, gets used to that, when they're taking other doctors, they're got the same expertise, but they're looking at their clientele. They got, we don't all get sick at the same time. I may only get sick twice a month or twice a year, my wife every other day. Who knows? Or my kids more than often, but just a balance. You want that clientele list. Some are going to believe me, but so they get used to me, and then when the primary doctor of that practice leaves, you're right in there. You're already taking over. Okay. Market research need to do before opening. Find out the location, find out who's in that geographic or the demographic. Find out their likes and everything else. To teach a course in consumer behavior. Look up your community college. It adds on to this. What is effective strategy for reaching the market? Okay. Now, the next one is starting a business franchise. Okay, you have a franchise agreement, McDonald's, Burger King, franchisor. So my business is operating. I could open up more businesses, or I could have a good idea. I could become a franchisor. Okay, now franchise agreement is an agreement in which the buyer, franchisee, someone they can pay me royalties, purchases the right to sell the goods and services of the franchisor. Okay, now profit share. I had to give up some of that, right? McDonald's franchise has, just off the thing. If you have a good name, a brand, as we talk. Remember we said McDonald's. You want to open up a McDonald's, you want to be part of the franchise, you got at least initial fees, 1 million. There's more fees. Initial fee, you got to have $1 million before I even talk to you. But there's a link on there. I think it's Guru franchise. It lists all kind of franchise for a lower amount that you could look up there. Okay, franchisor, someone with a good idea sells the rights to use the business names, may provide financial aid and advice. McDonald's does that. McDonald's offers good services, provides training, assigns assigns a territory so you don't have too many in there. They know here this is a territory big enough that saturates. Sometimes if you have a big expressway, one side, the other side could be enough customers generated that two could be within that area, geographic area. Okay, and then you got a franchisee. I'm not gonna go through that. We already talked. Rights to the business sales. Look at it this way: employer, that's a big person. Employee, employer, franchisor, employee, franchisee. Okay. Okay. There's more than 9,000 franchise businesses in the U.S. operating in the U.S. Okay. Advantages. What are the advantages? Recognized name, personal ownership, lower failure rate, financial advice. How did they do it? Did they want you to be successful? Proven business opportunity. You see them all over. Hey, I want to get in on the action. Access to management expertise. They help you. They don't want to see their name tarnished. What are the disadvantages? High startup. We talked McDonald's 1 million. Management rules and restriction, like living in a condominium apartment. You have freedom, but you have to follow the rules and you can't all of a sudden I want a mini Big Mac unless everyone goes the corporation and franchisor says here's our new menu. And the rationale for that is no matter where you're at, anyone could go to Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, Arby's. I'm not picking any of them. They're all good. You know what I mean? Pizza Hut, name them. I eat at all of them. What happens is when you go in there, you know exactly what to expect because they're all the same, clean, have the same service. Prices may be a little different, but the interior may be different, but the service and the products are all uh, very darn close. Okay. Okay, starting from scratch. Now, you don't have to go on that. You have to know who your customers are. How much will those customers pay for my product? And that depends on you find out their economic level. If you're not going to open up Mercedes-Benz in an area that the highest income is 40,000. You're looking for an area where the individual income is around 80,000 to 120,000. And then it could be combined or combined about 200,000 is a nice income. Then the luxury car they could afford that because they have additional disposable income. Okay, how much of my product can I expect to sell? Who are my competitors? Remember, why will customers buy my product rather than the product from my competitors? Uh, uh, than the product of my competitor. I don't know why I did that. Sorry, must have made a mistake. We're live, those who know me. Okay, I correct it as I go. Okay, now financing a small business. Where do you get the money from? Personal resources, loans from family and friends. Anywhere you could get money. Come on, you're creative. You're an entrepreneur. You're a risk. You have to do small business investment companies, and we'll talk about them. Remember, those are the ones. And I have a whole. What happened? Got stuck on me. Hang on a second. Thing got frozen. Okay, we're going on here. Okay, just got stuck on my computer. Sorry. Small business investment companies are basically part associated with the Small Business Association. Invest in companies with potential for rapid growth. So if you got an idea and you got a business plan, a feasible, and you say, hey, we can see potential. Are federally licensed to borrow money from the Small Business Association, and it's a good site to look up. That's SBA.gov. A lot of information on small business, importing, exporting, no matter what state you're in. You click on the state, it'll tell you the rules, the contacts. Excellent source not going to rip you off. It's the government, remember, to help you. They even have seed money. When I look at seed money here, once you put the money in, don't worry. Don't look at it as a handout. As your business grows, you hire people to help the economy, then they'll tax you. Okay, past beneficiaries of capital included, for lack of better words, Intel, FedEx. All right, Apple Computers. Nice. That's where they started off. They took a grant. They got money from the small business investment companies, and they expanded. Okay, they must. There's a requirement for anyone to get certified by the Small Business Association. A minimum of 5 million in capital can borrow up to $2. Can borrow up to 2 million from the $2 from the SBA for each $1 capital it has. Okay, it's just a formula. Let's just try to figure out $2. What the heck? Should I give it to you? It's a formula for every dollar you can borrow up to two. Okay, are able to identify business troubles, remember, because they're investing in you, giving experience and advice. You want to make sure you don't default on a loan. In some cases, reschedule loan payments. Okay, now the other one you have to look at for financing a business is small, minority enterprise, small business investment companies. These are specifically to help minorities, all right? For if I look at that, there's a source we'll talk a little bit later on in this lecture, and we discussed that in depth in the class. Venture capital company. Now, venture capital companies, a bank, all these other people above here said, hey, we ain't going to give you any loan. Go walk away. All right. So they'll come in here and say, you got a good idea. You may not have the management skill. That's what's hurting you. You may not have the expertise. You got the idea, but you don't have the capital to get this idea up and running. So there's a group of small investors. It could be a group or individuals seeking companies to make profit. They got money instead of putting in a bank or CD or any kind of bond. They want to invest in a company and they're looking at the return on investment. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Remember, accounting in dollars. You're in business to make money, and you have to understand the system. All right. Okay. So sometimes you got to go what you have to do to get the business up and running, but just be careful. They're all right. Now you got angels, investors, and those are specific industries, software, media. They're going to similar to the venture capitalists will assist you. But they're very specific to certain industries because they have the expertise in that. Okay, trends in small business startups, and then e-commerce, internet. Come on, like it or not, new way of doing business, e-commerce growth rate. Look, 2000. Here's how much money made. 40. I think it was growth on retail spending. Look where it went up to 260. Is this in the millions? I forgot. Oh yeah, in the billions. Holy mackerel! Look where it went. Look, in exactly not even 11 years. Look at the prices. You have to, I don't care. When you open a small business, you have to have a website. You have to start thinking, what can I sell overseas? I'm a proponent of that. You have to, just finish global. All right, crossover from business. Yes, trends of small business. People who adapt to leave big corporation myself. You know what? I get tired of it. I've got the buyout and everything else. Let's do put their experience to work for themselves. Others get burned out in the corporate world. Some lost their jobs to discover that working for themselves has a better was a better idea anyway. Sometimes one door closes, other door closes. Remember, there's fate or there's a divine intervention, whatever. Some people say, "Look, I'm looking at somebody who's guiding me, helping me along," but certainly just happens. Some people, good things happen, bad things. You have a balance. But in business, look, if you always want, hey, I lost my business last time. It didn't go on. Business people, get used to it. You're gonna fail. What did I do wrong? But by taking the courses and talking to expertise, when things ain't going right, you try to recoup, and you got to use your creativity, your entrepreneurship. There's a risk. How do I make this happen? How do I put it back together? I'm going this way. I'm going down. How do I bring it back up? That's the excitement. That's the thrill of a small business. You know what I mean? So you lost your job, big deal. It's closed. What can I do now? Okay, opportunities for women and minorities. This is an area that is really working. More women and I think and minorities are supposed more women and minorities. Okay, if you're looking at that small business being started, reasons why women start the business, saw a market opportunity and decided to pursue it. 24%. Ladies, you're just creative men. You've got the creativity. You're a little more stable. You're a little more. You're risk taking, but more calculated of risk taking. Frustrated with the glass ceiling. Remember, we'll talk about that in HR. You're going to go so high because of good old boys or the corporate ladder. So now I'm going to start off my own business. But as you grow, make sure you don't have that glass ceiling for other women or other men. Open up. If it happened to you, make sure there's no glass ceiling. Uh, all right, in your organization. Other reasons, gain control of my schedule. You control your schedule. Even though it's a lot of work, you control it. African American now increased by 60%. There's an opening. There's money out there. Government's trying to help everyone out. It's a population that is growing and you should be representative in the small business than you are. 60% growth now totals about 2 million Hispanic-owned businesses, growing about 44%, depends on the area. Total about 2.5 million. Asian businesses only 1%. Pacific Islanders 35%. Okay, some global opportunities, foreign markets, and better survival rates. 44% of all new startups survive up to 4 years. That's not real bad. Look, the more you know, coming to classes, working for the business, looking at the business, doing the research before you're still a risk. Even large corporation got all the money, there's still some products don't go. But you are minimizing your risk outcome. What's the worst? So when you're doing your SWOT and everything else, the more you know, the more you plan, the higher probability you'll be successful. You make it past the 4 years, most likely you'll do pretty well. Okay, now what are reasons for failure? Business failures, reporting errors. Owner closing a business. Okay, this one here, so I'm looking at failures. When they look at statistically how many businesses fail, the government says so many businesses went under. That's where they got the 44%. What's it saying? That they also record if a business owner, if closes a business, start another, is reported as a failure. You may just close here and go to no location. They report that the business is no longer operative in that geographic or the areas of failure. Changing form of business is reported failure. I go from sole proprietorship to a partnership. I change the contract. I go to an LLC, so it's recorded as new business, but the older business is no longer existing. Or then I go to corporation, as corporation, master, partnership, everything we've talked about and learned in the book. I'm just going over those. Those are more in detail. You've learned here, or you take business law 1 and 2 at your community college. Managerial incompetency or experience. This is the big one. You never manage an individual, even as a small business. Part of management is timing, everything else, looking at the costs, looking at the budget, making goals, making objectives. You know, what I mean, so too much faith in common sense. Common sense will only take you so much. You have to be business suave. Okay, overestimating your own managerial skills. I know everything else. A lot of times you know everything else unless you've been in a situation you're not. It's nice to ask somebody else for help. Believe that hard work alone ensures success. Managing employees is one of the hardest ones. I got to hire them. I got to train them. I got to motivate individuals. Employees of small companies are often more satisfied with the job because I'm one-on-one with them. I know them more, just like a family. They feel challenged and respected. Should be in here. Must recruit and groom employees for manager position. Okay. Neglect. Now, if I look at a little neglect, when they look at reason neglect, try to launch ventures in their spare time. It's a hobby. You have to spend as much time as your business as you do as work. It's not going to happen by itself. Others devote only limited time to the new business or you contract out. If you got a good management team, fine. But starting a small business deviles an overwhelming time commitment. It's as much time commitment as a middle manager and higher, but you get to keep the profits accessible. You have a higher potential of higher earning in a small business versus in a corporate, unless you go up at the president level. But there's only so many presidents, so many high levels. Remember, organizations are flatter now. They're not very tall, for lack of better words. Okay, we control systems. This is something you have to look at. And that's your effective control system, business on track, alert manager potential. Is my revenues coming in? Is my bills paid on time? Do I have a safety stock? Is my inventory dwindling? You have to have checks and balances. Why is my customers drop down? How do I bring that? Those are all things. From last month, I was making more money. This month, you're looking historical. All these are checks and balances that, as a business owner, you have in there. I don't want to go overwhelming, but hey, something's not wrong. It's like gauges or dashboard that we talked about on a car. Okay. Hey, it's getting hotter. Wait a minute, let's go on. Maybe I need antifreeze, or maybe I have to look at this area. That's all it's doing. Insufficient capital. When business started off, over optimistic that I'm opening up the business, it's going to be packed. People are going to buy my product. Sometimes it could be a month, 2 months, 3 months. Open up in the winter time, or you open up nice time. All of a sudden, a storm came in, or something happened, and all of a sudden, or they're doing road construction, and the customers ain't coming in. It takes months or even years for your business to come up. So when you get your line of credit, if you get your money, they want to give you more, take more, put it away, save it, but more than what you're paying interest on it. Put in a CD or something else, and that'll help you at least in your lean months until your business comes up. It'd be nice. Look at the worst case scenario. Can I survive for the next 7 months and to pay my bills and everything else? I see a business, and there's a business where I live in Lake Zurich, open up, not more than 3 months, went out of business, overspend, nice, everything else. Couldn't keep up. The customers were coming. They didn't understand the business yet. They weren't used to the new management and everything else. All those are effect. You got to get people coming back. You got to build up that clientele again. Okay? All right. Reason for failure. Now, let's go look at the bright side. Oops. Reason for success. That's what I want to hear. Give you the word. And to give the bad and the worst. I want to give you a good, bad for it. Hard work, drive, dedication. This is my business. This is my baby. This is what I'm going to make happen. Market demand for products and service provided. So hard work. Let's look at it here. What do I have here? I promise you. Must be committed to succeed, just like it takes hard work to take my class. Willing to spend the time and effort to make it happen. There's nobody out there. It's not like a 9 to 5 job. I'm not I'm going back. You got to be out there. You got to do inventory. You got to climb. You got to get ready for the next day. Market demand for products and service provided. Careful analyzing the analysis of the market. You understand your customers. You know your customer. You know you want all of them come, but you're going to have like what you call your 20% of your hardcore customers are going to come in there and then they're going to talk. So you got to have what's my first market? Who's going to come in to keep my business going? I want them all, but who are know right away that I could get? If I get that base, and then I'll grow my base is what I'm looking at. Okay? And the last one, managerial competence. We talked about, you see that all the time. Acquire competency through training or experience or by drawing the experience or others through training. I forgot this. Come on. Or classes at your commune. Oops. How that? Okay. Oops. Go back. So you know it's live. There we go. Okay. Or experience or others. Divine luck or intervention. What the heck? Some people are just lucky, and it's just timing. Nothing wrong. But even if the timing's not there, you say, hey, here's worst case. I'm opening up a business. In 6 months, I'll be there. And don't, if it's not happening, wait a little bit. It's like, look at this way. They always use the analogy of a farmer. A farmer puts that seed in the ground. He cultivates the ground, makes it all soil, nutrients, everything else, puts the seed. He doesn't dig it up. Is it growing? It's gonna grow. So you have to look at it. When you look at a business, some businesses business cycle. When is the most demand? I'm opening up an ice cream parlor in December. Odds are it's not gonna be very heavy traffic. Come on, I don't have to be. There your common sense are. But I'm selling ice cream. I'm selling something else. I got a lot of other things. So what brings customers in? Summertime, I'll make my money. When I make my money in the summer, in those months, I gotta make enough to hold me over for my lean months in the winter. Okay, or find another market for the winter. I could do with some catering. You could do it the bakery. Do it some other stores or something else to say, hey, have an ice cream for the winter. Have something else a little lower price to stimulate sales for those off months. Okay, now let's talk about something that's not a corporation but different business structure. And when we look at different business structures from the reading, the reasons for the business structures are when I start going into LLC partnership, not partnership as much, but corporations and Chapter S and LLCs is basically to reduce your risk, minimize your risk. You have two types of risk or two types of liability. The one type financial liability. When I open up the business, I've taken out loans and everything else. Don't take it against your name. I mean, you do, but take it out against the business. That's why when I go on, if you take out a sole proprietor, if you can't pay it back, because of the way the business is, they come after your personal assets. Same thing with a partnership. Then you get someone else to split it. Maybe they'll help you uh, not go bankrupt or sustain the business because you got two resources coming in. Remember economic? Two resources. He has a resource. I have a resource. She has a resource. Money, talent, friends, whatever. We could bring those resources together as a partnership. But it's still, if something goes up, I can't afford it to go after my partner's. If the business can't sustain the losses to go after my partner's personal assets. That's just what it is. That's the law. Now, when I start going to corporations or LLC and everything else, it minimizes the risk because now I have a corporation that is basically the entity that the government has taxed everything else. I may own and everything else, but all my financial thing is tied to that corporation. They give the loan on the basis of corporation. They give the loan on the basis of the potential of my customers, my accounts receivable, whatever, of my idea. Okay? Now, so if the business goes under and the business can't sustain itself, it goes under, they can't go after my personal assets unless I tied my personal assets as collateral within the business. I try to tell people sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got the faith, you got the idea. This is the drive. This is what I want to do. You're gonna take the risk. But I try to, once you get out, keep it separate. Because the business goes under, fine. I lost a job. I just work for somebody else. I still have my home, my house. My kids got their surroundings, everything else, their family. All right. because it ends up a little stressful. All right, so let's go back in here. So we have that, and then now let's go on sole proprietorship. Is a business owned by one individual, managed by one person. Most common 74% of this type makes up 74% of small business in the United States, all businesses in the United States are small businesses, make up 4% of sales. Revenue sales, remember, they're small. They don't sell as much as a Motorola or a Baxter or an Abbott or whatever, okay? Now, but the easiest to start, advantages, I have freedom, simple to form, low startup costs, it's only me, and tax benefits. Disadvantage, is any debts or damage. We talked about your debts, limited financial resources, managerial difficulties. I have no one to talk to about overwhelming time commitment. As my business grows, I either bring a partner or I have to handle it. Few fringe benefits, limited growth. Well, not we're talking about the average. There's some people could grow smaller, but usually some of the growth is only me. Limited lifespan. I die, my business goes away. Okay. Now, partnership is same thing on that. Two or more people, okay, agreed, legal ownership. 8% account for 13% of sales. Making sense, total sales from businesses, only 8%. More than the other 74% down here. But you have a partner, just like a marriage. You got to deal with somebody. You got to talk to somebody. You can't just do everything else. You got to say, hey, how do we get this together? You have to consult. But you should put things in writing. If the partnership doesn't work well, how do you resolve the issues? You can't walk away. You want to sell it? Who are you going to sell it to? Do I get first bids? What's the price? If we have, I want a business to grow. You want it small? Do we bring it through? How to, in the writing? It doesn't have to be. It's nice to have a legal contract in writing. If we have an issue of an argument, we bring in a third party, a consultant we both agree on, or a mediator, and he or she will basically say and will abide by his or her ruling. Or we sell the business to the other one at a fair cost, and and how is it going to be split up, whatever. Okay. Advantages, you got more financial, longer survival, no special taxes. Disadvantages, again, an unlimited liability you have. You got to divide the profits, agree on the terms up front. Difficult to terminate, just like a marriage. You know what I mean? Easy to get married, try to get a divorce. I've been married for a long time, but just people have been through there. It's a partnership. I want to grow, you want to stay small, and people change. Look at the where you grew up in high school or in grade school. You can remember some friends you run in 5, 10 years. I used to have long hair now. Man, he changed. So your business partners change. They have different values, different goals. You're trying to find the same goals. If not, how do you split? It's okay to split a partnership. Say, okay, how do we split up? You may open up a business. We got enough assets. You open up George Hot Dogs too. You open up Jerry's Hot Dogs too. Same business. We take and we work. Or if we don't have any writing, just like in a marriage, you get legal lawyers in there. It could be messy and it could be stressful. You have two types of partners. You have a general partner. What makes a general partner is who has unlimited liability. He's an owner, active in managing the firm, sharing and operating the businesses, assumes liability for the business and debts, and invests money in services. Now you have a limited partner. What is a limited partner? Good question. Limited partner puts into a limited partner puts only money. And let me put this in here. Dollars into the company. Personal assets not a risk because I don't do any management. Remember, the law says general partners, you got to do some management. I'm not active in management. I want to invest money in the business but enjoys limited liability. A partnership with one or more. One or more general partners and one limit. Oh, when you have a partnership, I gotta at least have. I can't have two unlimited partners. If there's no liability, get out of it. You gotta have one general partner. All right, and then you could have one limited partner. Uniform Partnership Act. What this basically says that if this limited partner, for whatever reason, comes in here and says, "Hey, I've done some more. Because my general partner is going away. I'm doing some work. I'm managing and doing something else, even for a week or a couple of things, and I leave. The company goes belly up." And the creditors are looking to recoup their investment. They're looking who has the money, and you can say, "Hey, I'm a limited partner. I want to invest in money." And your employees are wanting to get paid. Says, "No, he or she worked here for 3 weeks or whatever." You lose that protection as a limited partner since you manages underneath the Uniform Partner Act. You are a general partner, and they could come after your assets. The reason for this, because two general partners were saying, hey, we're going to belly up. I have nothing. I'll just be a general partner. I'm going to state that you're a limited partner, and so they can't come after you. And then after we go up and we open up, you rehire me or you pay me back or whatever. You know what I mean? So this way, they were basically doing unethical and skimming the law around, for lack of better words, because of their labels on whether they are a general partner or limited partner. Does you understand that? Okay. All right. So let's go on another cooperative. Real easy. Business owned and controlled by people who use it, producers, consumers, or workers. All right. There's a cooperative. My thing is slipping up on me today. I must have too much stuff opened up. Hang on a second. All right, we're okay there. Yeah, I don't know why. I've got a lot of memory on here, but it's just going a little slow on me today. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I got a lot of information. Remember, this is about like three lecture nights on. I think it's like a 75 PowerPoint slide, all in one real easy view for you. This was a good lecture we had in class. So take my course. Okay, business owned. Okay, worldwide. All right, there's 750,000 cooperative services, 730 million to 120 members, 120 million in U.S. Okay, members democratically control by electing a board of directors. Here's what a cooperative does. If I look at, for lack of a better words, True Value or anything, I think I can really compete with. I'm an independent hardware store. I can't compete with Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's. So what do? I go to co-op, we buy by groups and we split up. We get the best, we buy by quantities, economies of scale. And even though we're independent owners, competitors against each other, we get the best price, and that's how we can compete against the larger big chain stores. Okay, when I talk about family affair, a lot of small business start with family. I just throw this in. This is from working with people, is clarify your expectation with the family. What will each member do? Because a lot of people say, I work for my dad. I don't have to do nothing. They're going to fire me. I'm his son. I'm his daughter. I'm his wife. I'm his in-law. Hey, families, they're the only ones going to work with you maybe at the beginning, but then they could be kind of hard. You can't fire your wife. You could if you divorce her. Or, I'm just kidding. You know what I'm talking about? But here's the rules. At work, here's work, especially if you have husband and wife team. Who's the boss? You may be the boss at home or the head person. I don't want to say boss. What I mean. The leader or the person. Yeah, the head of the household. Jeez, I'm getting myself in trouble here. The head of the household. Okay, at home, but at work, I am the vice president and the wife, or maybe for lack of better words, the president. So you have to, or the controller, or whatever. Those that are work. Try to separate your work from home. It's hard, especially a small business owner. People that I know in that position that work like that. When they work, they think work. When they go home, they think family. They put work aside, or they talk about it at nighttime or something else. Okay, work and family boundaries. What is the line that separates work and personal relationships? You need to communicate, agree on what types of decisions you'll make jointly and on own. Clarify long-term intentions. Discuss how long everyone will work full-time. Goals for the business. Some people are just working with you to start you up, get you going. Then they want to go back to either work part-time or you've got it going. Let me go back and relax now. But have some kind, have an escape hatch, have plan B in case family doesn't work out well. Okay, what are corporations? You have, let's look at the slide here. You have a summary of the slide. You have different types. Okay, three forms of business ownership: proprietorship, general partnerships, and corporations. Limited, right? Unlimited, limited, invested, capital invested. Continue ends with the debt or decision of the owner, ends with the debt or decision of any partner. As stated in the charter, management, personal, unrestricted, under control of the board of directors. So when I look at management of a corporation, I, as a shareholder, don't elect the management. I elect the board of directors, and they elect the management. Okay, so you have that. Okay, types of sales. Okay, here's the different percentage corporations. With earlier discussion, 74% of businesses are corporate. Percent of businesses are corporations. 9% small, and this is with sales. Let me see. Oh, percentage of sales and revenue. Percentage of business. I'm sorry. Here's the businesses falls in, and here's the sales. So you figure here's 74%. You only make a very small percentage, okay, of revenue, small businesses. Okay, now here we go. Uh, Regular C corporations, conventional legal entity. Let's put this out here. Authority to act on its own, charter from the state, liability separate from stockholders. Okay, majority of corporations a majority of U.S. corporations, small business. Remember, you could be two lawyers. We're talking about different corporation professionals and B corporations and S corporation. I could be two lawyers or two doctors or three doctors and incorporate. And I don't have to be start off as sole proprietor. Don't have to start off as a partnership. Or if I do and I grow up, I try to minimize my what do you call it, my liability. Okay, advantages. This you know, okay? Raising large capital, sell stocks, value the stocks, limited liability, separate owners from management, charter from the state, ease of ownership, elects board of directors, perpetual life size. What are disadvantages? Initial costs, paperwork. Oh my God, a lot of paperwork, detailed records, double taxation. When you talk about double taxation, the corporation has to pay all taxes, municipal, state, government, federal, whatever. They pay all the taxes, and what's left over, pay all the expenses. So what's left over is their profit. They do several things with their profits. They either reinvest the profits back into the corporation, or or put in the sinking fund, for lack of a better word, or they basically give it back to the shareholders as dividends. Now, me as a shareholder, if I get dividends from ComEd or from somebody else, that dividend I have to claim. ComEd, the corporation paid all the taxes, but that dividend, when I get it, I have to show it as income and claim it on my income tax. So I'm being taxed twice. They're not going to get away with it. I mean, you're not going to change it. And B corporations, benefit corporations are judged on how they meet their own set of socially and environmentally beneficial goods. Okay, so now let's go on to some professional corporations composed of lawyers, doctors, accountants, and other professionals. Protects them from unlimited financial liability, not immune from unlimited liability. So there is a corporation for a professional, as I mentioned, but remember, from the money side, I'm protected. The business goes under. But if I do something by negligence, they could still sue me personally because they're not going after my personal assets. They're doing for what I've done. So that's what's I'm not immune from unlimited liability, just from a financial perspective from the company. Right? Now, corporations generally, I have private, not traded in any stock exchange. I still sell stock, but you have to come to the stock. There's a different way that will sell it, and I can still sell it and give you information, but I'm not doing it in the New York Stock Exchange or the American Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or any of the international exchanges, okay? Public is share traded on one or more exchanges I talked about, or nonprofit performs public service, has special tax considerations to encourage formation. Now, Chapter S is basically similar to a corporation, gives you all the benefits, but I don't have to do all the detailed bookkeeping. I don't have to. It costs like a couple $100 to get a Chapter S, and you're immune from the financial from the business you go under. You're not your personal asset if your business goes under. Okay, substitute for corporation at a smaller rate. No more than 100 shares I could sell. Helps me get money. One type of common share. It's all I had. Individual shareholders, individuals estate, U.S. citizen or legal residents. One class of stocks. If an S corporation loses its S status, it may not operate under it for at least 5 years. In business law 1 and 2 will go into just look at the book explained it. Benefits change with tax laws, no double taxation. The other one is limited liability organization, similar to an S corporation. Okay, let's see what is similar, but without eligibility requirements. So if I look at an LLC, I think when I went up for an LLC for consulting, I think it was like about $500, $600, and every year I have to, for lack of better words, re. pay. I know I got some fees I got to pay with the states and some other things, but it protects you. You don't have to give you a social security number. You could grow. You can bring partners in, bring partners out. You could stay as one partner, no taxation, but it protects your business from your personal assets. Okay? Limited liability, choice of taxation, flexible ownership rules, flexible distributions of profits or losses, operating flexibility. Disadvantages are no stock ownership is non-transferable, limited lifespan until the partners go, or myself. Usually it's just me. I'm by myself. Fewer incentives, taxes, paperwork I have to do myself. Now they talked about different mergers. So you got vertical merger, joins two businesses in different stages of related. You say HP and a computer, they became one. Horizontal merger joins two firms in the same industry, allows them to diversify, expand their product. Airlines are always joining together. Okay, conglomerate unites firms in completely unrelated industries in order to diversify business operations and investments. Okay, good. Now, when we talk about leverage buyout, what the heck is leverage buyout? An attempt by employees, management, or group of investors to buy out stockholders in a company. Or just me making noise, sorry. Leverage LOBs have ranged in size of from 50 million to 34 billion, have involved everything from small business to giant corporations. In 2012, foreign investors poured 166 billion to U.S. companies to try to buy them out. Remember, if I could buy them out by the shares, whether it's owners or anything else, listings, employees, or management group investors, if I buy the majority of shares, what happens when it comes to voting? I have the right to bring in a new board of directors that's favorable to my position or my goals or objectives as investors. And then they hire the management and they go out that way. But then I have a little more clout, for lack of better words. Okay, one company purchased a property, another obligations. Okay, so there we did it. We did it. I did it. I think I did it in need an hour. Let me just expand real quick. Bring it back in here to level one. We covered everything in here. Look, we did a lot of work here. We talked about the stack, small business, entrepreneur. In a nutshell, you need to be creative. We need to be to have that entrepreneur spirit. Whether you're a business owner, whether you work for a medium company, a large company, or a corporation. I mentioned here multinational corporations or corporations that have corporations or subsidiaries internationally. Okay, I just forgot to put in a mind map. Excuse me, just popped in my head. But for looking at it, we're all going to have to, if I'm looking at it, the odds are you'll be working for a small business. 74% of all businesses in the U.S. are small. They could be corporations. Remember, we also read that 70% of all corporations are small, considered small businesses. So you start off. You could even start. If you got an idea, you got an idea, and you have a business plan, you have a partner, you have the expertise, and you're willing to take the risks. Here's where you're going to make it. Take it. But you say, hey, I'm not a risk taker. Work for a company, a manager. You still have to help your department, the organization to find new markets, new segments. Okay. So just what we learned in here is how to minimize the risk, how business starts, what to look out for. One thing I didn't mention here, start thinking globally, not only locally, in the back of my mind, and that's when you go in for when we talked about uh, trends in small business. When you look at the e-commerce, that's expanding. It's getting more and more. Somehow, I'm still locally. Could I sell my product? Could I sell a T-shirt? Could I sell an idea? Could I sell? I have some individuals that may just do the estimating for their own. This business, I'll estimate for yours. You give me a price structure. Hey, I charge you so much. It helps another cash flow. And they may just have more people just doing estimating for other people. You may not like it. I got the equipment. I got the software. I got the expertise. I'll help you out. I get paid for it. So think of an idea. It doesn't have to be something spectacular. A lot of the ideas that are coming up, there's some simple ideas that people want and expands, and you're out there. And who knows? Remember, as an entrepreneur, what you have to think about as your business grows, what if a large corporation wants to buy you out? You have to think, do I want to grow with the business and keep it, or do I sell it and start a new business? I'm an entrepreneur spirit. I will sell it, make that money, and try something else because I already had the same template. Whether you're from any business, small to large, you utilize the same template. Whether you're an entrepreneur or a manager, you have to have the same uh, uh, risk taking. You have to be self motivated. You have to be able to learn quickly. You have to be able to take in a lot of information. You have to be able to see opportunities or see risk, know how to, and you have to know how to manage. So remember, you do well. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki. Look me up at the college teaching. Today we talked about entrepreneurship, new ventures, and business ownership. And remember, the book and everything else gets more into detail. I just covered the surface here. There's more courses you'll take, but in this class, from the reading, the internet, the integrated software, you have a very good, solid foundation to build forward. That's what this whole series is about. So when you're ready to open up a business, you may not be an expert. In the back of the mind, oh, I remember this. I remember he said this. How did he do this? What do I do here? What about the risk? What do I have? What is my competitors? How do I do a business plan? How do I sustain myself? Oh yeah, I gotta do all this, and then you open up, and then you'll be successful. You pass that 44% in 4 years. You'll be growing, and just remember me when you get there. Okay? My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and I'll see you in the next session.